Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. Today's guest has spent a lot more time in the audience than he has as our guest. I've said this about this show before. We have the most intelligent listeners. And it's not a lie. There isn't a person out there who couldn't do my job. In fact, someday I may start to find someone. With that being said, in the book, Those Who Remain by G. Michael Hopf, a famous quote starts out by saying, "Hard times create strong men." And the quote goes on. Hard times create strong men and strong women because adversity and struggle and downward pressures against us that we survive through are actually the anvils that harden our metal and make us more capable in dealing with adversity later on in life. People always talk about the Depression and how those people who survived the Depression, they were different. They were stronger. They went into the military and they didn't complain and cry about it. We live in a world of victims today. In fact, victimhood is something to be proud of. Woe is me, feel sorry for me. People wear that shit on their sleeves. It's nothing to be proud of. Victimhood is nothing to be proud of. And in fact, there is a movement against strength. Strong men, strong women. They are the niche in society today. People want to convince you that being fat and slothful, the dad bod, whatever you want to call it, is actually admirable. It's not admirable. It's complete failure. It's outward evidence of a complete failure. And those of us who train and love physical culture, we know that because of our training, we are able to handle things differently than most people. Pain doesn't scare us. It doesn't stop us. We acknowledge it, but we manage it. My good friend Jack Yee wrote a great book specifically about this called Suffer Better. We're going to get him on right now as soon as we just thank our title sponsor, and that is, of course, Legendary Foods. Legendary Foods makes a snack that no one can eat just one of. It's called a Tasty Pastry. It started out as a replacement for a Pop-Tart, but it's become so much more. It's flaky, it's light, it's delicious. It tastes great. People eat them because it tastes great. And one of the benefits is it's got less than 1 gram of sugar and 20 grams of high quality protein, which for those of us who pay attention to what we eat is salvation, because we can feel like we're cheating, but we're not. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary. Use the code SHR10 to save 10% off. And of course, as always, Listen during the commercial breaks for the secret word. Email the secret word to onair@superhumanradio.net. Include your mailing address, and we will send you a free box of tasty pastries, thanks to the generosity of Ron Penna. So don't miss out on that opportunity. And now, welcome to the show, Jack Yee.
Thank you very much. That was a great introduction, Carl. I completely agree with everything you said about the world these days.
Yeah, it's really scary. But you know what the funny thing is? The quote that I read the first sentence from by G. Michael Hopf actually goes like this, and it's really interesting if you look at where we are today as a population. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. And weak men create hard times.
Brilliant.
And we are in that last phase. We are living the world that weak men have made.
Yes, exactly.
Right now. Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what the problem is right now. We live in a world right now that equates comfort with happiness. Our belief in this concept, Carl, is so extreme these days that if we are in a difficult situation or we have to do a task that scares us just even a little bit, we're starting to back away from that. The reason why we do this, Carl, is because we unmistakably believe that difficult situations lead to unhappiness. So right now, we're failing to push through our adversities. And as a result of what's happening, we're losing our ability to delay gratification and to tolerate pain. So instead, Carl, what we're doing nowadays, we're putting all our attention on immediate gratification, instant pleasure, like shopping on Amazon, like drinking and working out. But what we're really doing at the gym these days is just texting the whole time. Now, do these activities give us joy, Carl? They do in a little bit, but it's definitely not true fulfillment. True fulfillment comes from doing difficult things in our personal life and with our physical training. For example, Carl, if I asked you, what's your most memorable personal accomplishment? You'll probably tell me it's overcoming an obstacle that was full of pain and struggle.
Yeah.
Also, if I ask you what's your most memorable training experience, I have no doubt, Carl, you'll tell me, oh, it's doing the most difficult workout I ever had. I almost wanted to quit, but I was able to push through it. So true joy actually comes from the self-knowledge we gain when we're resilient. We have it all so backwards. We avoid pain because we believe pain leads to unhappiness. But that's not true. In fact, the opposite is true. We need pain. We need to suffer because intense suffering eventually becomes pleasure if we're resilient. I know this is sounding so counterintuitive to everybody, but I always tell everybody, you want to be happy in life? Well, then start doing things that make you unhappy in your personal life and with your physical training. Unfortunately, the pandemic has really chipped away at our ability to become resilient. Taking a whole year off, Carl, has pretty much robbed us of our desires to take up challenges. So as a result of that, we've gotten softer mentally and physically. And even before COVID, we're a nation of whiners and complainers. But now with COVID still going on, it's given these people an excuse to remain fat and scared. And that's a horrible way to live. That's a terrible way to live. But unfortunately, that's the average American today. But be careful, everybody, because it's going to get worse because the next scamdemic is just around the corner. But it doesn't have to be like this, people. We could rectify this problem right now by constantly engaging in physical and mental challenges. But also at the same time, we have to develop mental strategies to tolerate the pain and manage it so we can overcome these obstacles. And by doing so, that's how we'll rediscover our courage again. That's how we'll reframe the negativity from this pandemic into something finally more powerful and meaningful.
Every time I see someone still wearing a mask, I see a person filled with fear.
Yes.
That's what I see. When I see someone walking around, like today, the mask mandate has been lifted. And the truth of the matter is, even the University of Kentucky, I think U of K, just published a study, maybe it was U of L, that showed that the masks didn't provide any protection at all in retrospect. Just like everybody was saying, I was saying these masks don't help. People were calling me an idiot. Now there's a study that showed that the masks didn't help. And this is done by a good university that doesn't have any stock in either side of this discussion. And so when I see people in the gym, when I see people in the grocery stores and they're still wearing their masks, I don't see a conscientious person. No. I don't see a person who's trying to protect other people. I see a person who is so afraid. They've been sold so much fear that they believe that if they don't wear that mask, they may get the virus. And even if you get the virus, no one's dying from it. I mean, the numbers are just stupid today. I just had Dr. Suzanne Turner on the show.
Yeah, it was a great episode.
She had a fever for 3 hours.
Yes, that was it, right?
That was it. And we know with COVID because she was tested for she had all the antibodies after she was sick.
Yeah, she said her flu 5 years ago was even worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree with you.
We've been so now there are people out there who will say there's a conspiracy going on, that the government wants us weak. And I don't know that that's true or not. That's not my point. I don't know why. But if the quote is true, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times, then we are in the last phase of that quote right now. And we are surrounded by people who have an adversity to any pain. Now, let's be honest. No one likes pain, right? You're not a masochist. It's not like
no, it's not about that.
But if you recognize that life has periods of pain in it, and that your objective as in the species is to get past that pain, not to avoid it, to work through it. And no one does that anymore. Everybody they sidestep. I don't want any. I mean, look, words hurt people nowadays. I mean, yes. I remember when I was a kid in Brooklyn, we played a game called The Dozens. And it's where you said really harsh and horrible things about another person, another person's family, another person's mother, another person. And then you would come back with something worse and go back and forth and back and forth. Today, if you played that game in schools today, they'd throw you out of the school. They'd want to put you in therapy. They want to do all these things to you because, that's not nice. You know, this is why we're pussies today.
We are. This is exactly it. You know, I tell everybody all the time that I'm not afraid of the pandemic. What I am afraid of is the disease of being a coward. And that seems to be happening to a lot of people today. I know that. And I could say that because I was a former coward myself, pretty much most of my life. And I see that happening. And it really frightens me because we evolved as human beings to be strong and powerful. But right now, people are walking around scared. And I just read a recent study about how the average 18-year-old right now, his testosterone level is lower than what his dad was at the same age and what his grandfather was.
Right.
So what that's saying is today's teenagers are less of a man than his dad was, even less of a man than what his grandfather was. It's like that saying, 40 is the new 30. Well, males now are the new females, and it's getting worse. And I don't mean to catastrophize, but it seems like every generation is getting softer and more weaker than the previous one. So what's going to happen to us? This is why I really believe we have to learn how to tolerate pain and to move past our fears.
So I just did an interview with Muscular Development 2 days ago, and I had a chance to listen to it, and I actually came off okay. I don't think I sounded too nutty, but we were talking about testosterone levels in men, and they keep dropping. And that is not a conspiracy. There is not a group of agencies, a group of companies that are sitting down in a back room and going, what can we do to feminize men today? However, it is a byproduct of greed. Why do you say greed, Carl? Because these companies are unleashing chemicals on our population
Mhm.
that compete with our own hormones, and they derail. Look, the biggest customers that Blue Chew has today are in their 30s and 40s. They're not old guys like me in my 60s. There's men out there in their 30s and 40s can't get erections. Why?
Yes.
Because their bodies are saturated with xenoestrogens and xenoandrogens, and they're eating soy, drinking soy lattes all day long because they're told by the woke crowd that that's
Yes.
better for you than real milk. And they are becoming feminized because big corporations don't give a shit that they're destroying your health as long as they keep selling their glyphosate, their Roundup or their soy products and stuff like that.
I completely agree. I completely agree. That's one of the reasons, a high percentage of why our testosterone levels are dropping, for men, in their 20s and 30s. And it shouldn't be this way. And, I don't know about you, but when I go to the gym today, I see all these people in their 20s and 30s, their level of intensity, not there.
Right.
Half the time, they're just texting. The other day, I was watching all these people just training, and between sets, they were texting the whole time or watching TV. It took me to just shut my mouth because I just wanted to scream and tell all these guys that are in the gym, you should be goddamn ashamed of yourself right now, the way you guys are training. No wonder your testosterone are tanking. The way you eat, not sleeping, being exposed to all these toxins in our environment. So I'm really worried about the future of
so let's
humanity.
talk about the role of physical culture, which has been lost. I mean, they don't even have gym class in high school anymore. Let's talk about the role of physical culture in making tough people.
Yeah, that's just the problem right now. I was a teacher for 30 years, and it's so politically correct. You're right. I used to teach in a school where we couldn't keep score. We couldn't have a captain. When I was a kid, when I was in high school, we had a rope to climb. Nowadays, you can't even see a damn pull-up bar anymore. In California, there's pull-up bars everywhere. Massachusetts, it's not even a requirement. Look at even the standards right now to join the military. They've dropped all the standards. They made it so much easier because people can't pass those exams.
Yes.
And these are standard exams, physical exams for physical culture that every man and woman should be able to pass. But we're dropping our standards, and it's getting lower and lower and lower.
So what we're doing is, instead of embracing strength, and this is pretty unique to the United States, what I'm saying. If you go to Russia, you go to China, they embrace strength. They embrace strong men and women. They hold them in the highest regard. Mm-hmm. And we've done this since the beginning of time. The Romans, the Greeks, strong people were revered. They were looked to for answers about how to stay alive, how to survive, how to accomplish things. And now in the United States, we are penalizing strong people. We are telling them that they're wrong. We have gyms that send everybody knows what I'm talking about, Planet Fitness. If you go in there and try to deadlift, they make you leave because you are making the weak people uncomfortable by displaying your strength. So when you think about it, when we see strength, we don't want those strong people in our faces. And so we are actually lowering the threshold of being strong because these weak people who could be strong.
Yes, they could be.
They could be strong, but they don't want to. They don't want to work hard, and it makes them feel uncomfortable. I mean, it's crazy today. It really is. We are really building a nation of weaklings. We really, really are.
We really are, physically and mentally too, because I work with kids and I work with adults too. And the fact that, I used to, when I was training my clients for the last 5 years, I felt like that kid, in that movie, I See Dead People, Sixth Sense. Remember that movie? Yeah. When I was training people, I felt like that kid. But instead of seeing ghosts, I kept seeing fear in everybody. I kept noticing how scared everybody was, only because I recognized that same look. I used to have that same look of apprehension and hesitation because I used to live as a coward myself. So it was hard for me to keep training people just for aesthetic reason. I needed to shift my training, my focus as a trainer to more about mental toughness and courage, because that's what is really missing. Besides the physical strength, it's also the mental aspect.
So I want to give people a heads up on where they can get the book while we're talking about it. So the book is actually called Suffer Better: How to Raise Your Pain Tolerance and Develop Your Resilience for Training and Life. Because what we do in training transfers to life. We've heard plenty of people who, and if you can get the book by going to shrnetwork.biz/suffer-better, you know, I know a lot of guys who train because it gives them the edge in the boardroom. When the fat weakling guy that he's negotiating with is looking at him, and the fat weakling guy is enamored by this guy's shoulders and forearms, you already won. You already won. That's it. It's over.
Yes. No, you're absolutely right. Our training should affect us and make us stronger in our personal life. But the problem is that we assume, Carl, that it's going to happen automatically, but it doesn't. It does not happen automatically. But I'll tell you what does happen automatically are the negative relationships in our life. For example, if you catch yourself avoiding problems in your personal life, sooner or later, you're going to start avoiding difficult workouts with your physical training. And the reverse is also true. If you catch yourself not being resilient with your physical training, sooner or later, you're going to have a hard time persevering in your personal life. So when this negative correlation happens, when your negative alignment occurs, your ability to tolerate pain drops dramatically. And that's when you're screwed. This is why we need to put our focus and make sure that what we do in the gym and what we do outside of the gym has to be totally aligned. And this is what the main problem is that we have, is that we compartmentalize our training from how we live our life. In other words, how we act in the real world doesn't match that warrior persona that we put on in the gym. I know a lot of people that are absolutely beasts in the gym, but as soon as they walk out of that gym door, they're complete pushovers. And the other side of the spectrum, I know a lot of people that are mentally tough in their personal life, but when they walk into the gym, they're completely lost. They stay unfit, unhealthy, and they don't know what to do. This is why we need to combine both, Carl, what we do in the gym and what we do out of the gym, and then we have to make sure they are perfectly aligned. And again, it's not going to happen automatic. You have to extract the lessons that you get from your physical training and apply it back to your personal life. But even then, Carl, that's still not enough. In return, the next time you overcome a personal obstacle, you must take those lessons and bring it back to the training.
How do you do that, Jack? How do you do it?
You have to really deliberately and intentionally, you have to focus on specific skills and what you do in both areas. I always tell people, when they ask me that question, the next time you do something in the gym that's difficult, listen to your self-talk. What is your mind telling you? It's probably going to tell you the same thing the next time you overcome an obstacle in your personal life. It's probably the same voice. It's going to be the same message. We have to be aware of what it's telling us. Our heart, our self-talk, our heart, our will, our desire, it cannot differentiate between if we're at the gym or we're outside the gym, if we're in a boardroom or in a cancer ward. The goal of our will and our heart and our desire is to destroy obstacles, no matter where we are.
Interesting. I'm going to put this up one more time about the book. We're going to take a quick commercial break. The book is called Suffer Better. You can get it at shrnetwork.biz/suffer-better. We're going to take a quick commercial break. If you're watching live, feel free to ask questions. We'll work them into the show, I promise. We'll be right back with more Superhuman Radio. Stay tuned. Knoll Creek Hemp Company's Delta 8 soft chews are the premier Delta 8 product on the market today. Knoll Creek's Delta 8 is produced from high-quality hemp-derived CBD oil, and soft chews are manufactured using proprietary nano-emulsification technique that ensures the Delta 8 soft chew will timely deliver the desired effects cleanly and consistently from piece to piece. In a space where at least 70% of the products fail to meet label claims and where most users of conventional hemp products are left disappointed, Knoll Creek's Delta 8 soft chews are a product you can trust. Visit shrnetwork.biz/delta8. That's DELTA and the number 8, and use the code SHR20 to get 20% off your first order today. Being superhuman means being conscientious about the choices we make. White Oak Pastures is superhuman when it comes to raising livestock. They're committed to animal welfare, land regeneration, and rural revival. They responsibly manage the entire process from the pasture to your doorstep. High quality, pasture raised, great tasting meat from a farm you can trust. Full nose to tail selections. They even have options for your pet. Go to shrnetwork.biz/white oak and use code SHR20 to save 20% off your entire first order. Allostatic. I keep saying the number one killer is insulin resistance. Managing blood sugar is the key to living long and aging well. But we all like to eat starchy carbohydrates and sugars from time to time. How do I manage this? I use a product called Blood Sugar Breakthrough by Bioptimizers. This easy-to-take supplement is the result of numerous tests to find the absolute best formula for maintaining healthy blood sugar. Blood Sugar Breakthrough works to safely lower blood sugar after meals so that you can maintain a healthy weight and redirect carbohydrates to your muscles where they can be burned as energy. This means you'll avoid the worst effects of high blood sugar, like weight gain and advanced aging, while enjoying more stable energy, mental clarity, and fewer cravings. Go to shrnetwork.biz/blood sugar and save 10% with code SHR10 today. Attention meat lovers. I've discovered a snack with just 2 ingredients, meat and salt. That is so tender and delicious you almost can't believe it. That's right, no soy, sugar, or other crap. Our partner Carnivore Snacks nailed it with these mouth-watering snacks. They have a variety too: ribeye, pork loin, leg of lamb, and more, all sourced here in the USA from regenerative farms. Claim your superhuman offer from Carnivore Snacks today at shrnetwork.biz/snacks. That's SNAX. Use the code superhuman for 15% off your first order plus a free 2-ounce pork loin. I need to share with you all a revolutionary new wearable technology called HapBee. HapBee allows you to enjoy the effects of caffeine, alcohol, nicotine, melatonin, and muscle relaxants without actually ingesting anything. Yes, really. They figured out the unique magnetic signature of each of these molecules and recorded them. Just put the HapBee on, choose the signal you want, and it starts projecting the magnetic signature of that molecule that you choose, like coffee for feeling alert. Go to happbee.com/SHR. That's HAPBEE.com/SHR to learn more and unlock an $80 discount exclusively for the Superhuman Radio listeners. If you spend any amount of time sitting while at work like I do, I have the chair for you. The Backstrong chair from All 33 is the most comfortable office chair I've ever sat in. That's the truth. Their patented technology allows your body to move the way it's supposed to move while you sit. Designed by a chiropractor to position your pelvis in a way that stacks all 33 of your vertebrae into perfect alignment. The benefits of this ideal posture include relief of back pain, deeper breathing, better digestion, improved circulation, greater focus, sharper memory, and more productivity. Start experiencing these benefits today. Go to shrnetwork.biz/move and use the code SHR100 for a $100 discount on your Backstrong chair.
This is the Superhuman Channel, doing reps with the weight of the world.
Welcome back. We're talking with Jack Yee. We're talking about his new book, Suffer Better, and really about building a stronger population of people. We embrace weakness. We embrace frailty. In fact, they're badges that people wear. Victimhood is popular. Jack, give me some examples of how you applied in the real world some of the lessons you learned to both your training, how it crosses over from training to life and vice versa.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. One of the strategies that I have in the book is thinking of others. This is a strategy where you think about other people and how your action impacts people. Now, when you connect with others, especially with people you love, it raises your threshold to pain big time. In other words, Carl, it's very difficult to give up when other people are dependent on you. Carl, when I first started to do this research on this book, I was actually quite surprised at this because, to be honest, I always thought love was one of the biggest hindrance. It would make yourself very vulnerable, but I was completely wrong. In fact, it's the opposite that's true. If you want to be a badass warrior, you got to have love in the center of your heart. And no organization exemplifies this better than people in the military and people in law enforcement. It is very common for police officers and soldiers to say they're willing to take a bullet for their partners. And
Someone
also,
they love.
yeah, somebody you love. And if you ask these soldiers and these police officers what you're most afraid of, Carl, they're not going to tell you they're afraid of dying. They're probably going to say, I'm afraid of letting down my teammates. That's what they're probably going to say. So in a lot of ways, the poets and the Beatles are right. Love is all you need. Let me give you an example about how love helped me through one of my biggest crises in my life. I was having major problems with the IRS, and the whole experience, Carl, just completely financially and mentally bankrupt us. Diane and I, my wife, we were so poor at that time. Some moments we didn't have any enough money just to eat. So I remember this one time, Carl, Diane was at the kitchen table, and what she was doing is she was counting her pennies and her nickels. That's how broke we was. So just seeing that image, Carl, it just depressed me so much. But I vowed to myself that I was going to get off my ass. I was going to stop feeling sorry for myself, and I would do whatever I can to overcome the situation. So that whole time I was having difficulties with the IRS, I would think about that. It would just completely energize me to help me get through the situation. And I'll give you an example about how thinking about Diane, again, love helped us through with my physical training. It was during a point where our dog Neville was dying of cancer. And I knew that we were going to struggle from this. So what I had to do is that when I was going to my workouts, I really didn't want to do it, but I kept thinking I needed to be strong for Diane. I needed to be a man for her. So I went through my workouts and I kept thinking that. So in my workouts, I was a madman. I was going crazy because I wasn't thinking about me, Carl. The image that I had the whole time was about Diane. So in both instances, I was able to think of her to help me motivate me to get me through my worst adversities, which was with the IRS. And I used it in my training. And like I said, I remember specifically I had to do this one workout. I was pushing the prowler in the sled. And I swear to you that if there was somebody in front of me that day, I would have ran him over. That's how powerful and strong thinking of people that you love can motivate you and help you overcome pain. And again, just think of those examples about police officers and soldiers.
No, you're absolutely right. In fact, there's a scientist out there who did some research, and I can't think of his name. Randy Roach is the one who introduced me to him well over 12, 13 years ago. And he actually gauged physical strength based on the thoughts that a person was having.
Yes.
And everyone thought in the study that anger would be the greatest predictor of strength, but you're right, it was love.
It was love. I was most surprised about that.
Robert something. I can't think of his name now. I tried to get him on the show years ago, but he had retired and he wasn't interested in talking about that anymore. So how long has the book been out, Jack?
It's been out for like 3 months right now.
And what are some of the reviews you're getting?
I've been getting really good reviews. I've actually been #1 on Amazon twice now. So the response has been excellent. Excellent.
And so far. Is it only a Kindle book at this point in time?
At this point is, but I'm gonna eventually I'm gonna self-publish it. I was just curious to see how people would respond to it, but so far, I wrote the whole book during the pandemic, so I think it really triggered a note because I keep talking about that during the whole book. The whole central theme is that as a nation we're becoming weaker, and our ability to tolerate pain has pretty much diminished because of the pandemic. And I talked about how we need to raise our ability to handle pain, to overcome these adversities in life.
So I was talking to the guys at Wild Health. They had been on my show a couple times, and they have a nice facility in Lexington, Kentucky, very close to me. Mm-hmm. And I said to them that their physicians should understand that there's an extrinsic value of resistance training. And that is the ability to manage allostatic load. Allostatic load is the accumulation and management of stress and pain. And as we age, everybody knows, you get I used to joke and say my fondest childhood memory was not having back pain. So, as we age, everybody knows you start getting, pains here and pains there. Things start wearing out, especially if you're someone in this audience who's trained hard for decades, and that lumbar spine, L4, L5, S1, if you've been squatting and deadlifting heavy for years, they become a little compromised, and you start getting sciatic nerve pain down the back of your leg. And in my case, 2 foot surgeries, a botched one the first time, and then a second one to try to fix it. My left foot hurts all the time when I'm standing on it. It's very painful. And I don't ever complain about it, but Elisa will say, "Oh, does your foot hurt today?" Because she can see the way I'm walking. I'm favoring it. I'm trying to. Once I get sneakers on it, it's not as bad. But if I'm just walking on a hard floor, it's very, very painful. And the reality is that I am not patting myself on the back when I say that I am sure that many people I know would be on some kind of pain management medicine, would probably do a lot less than I do, and they would probably complain a lot more than I do. But the reason I'm able to focus on the daily tasks and not on this pain is because of my training. Anyone who knows what it feels like to have 500, 600, 700 pounds on an 1.5 inch bar across your traps knows that the pain of just keeping that weight on your back before you even squat it would make most people go, "No, I'm out. I'm not doing this. This hurts too much," right? Or the pain of the bar scraping along your shins if you're doing a deadlift properly, So decades of that have taught me that pain is manageable if you want to manage it. And as a result of that, I have a lot of age-related aches and pains that don't even faze me on a day in and day out basis simply because of my training. What do you think?
I think that's awesome. I think you're one of the lucky ones. I think a lot of people can't make that transition and apply what they learned from their training. But what you've done is really, really good. But like I said, most people are not able to apply what they learn from their personal training and apply it to the personal life. I actually, for example, I got into this bodybuilding world when I was 18. I joined both Gold's Gym and World Gym back in Santa Monica and Venice when I was 18, and I trained for 20 years. And during that time, Carl, I used to be so admirable of all these people that was in the gym, and I wanted to be just like them. However, by the time I got to 40, I stopped training pretty much with my life, and I started getting overweight, and I was an alcoholic at that time. And also what I noticed at the same time, most of those people that I admire at Gold's Gym, they were having difficulties with life too, as many of them have let themselves go. So it occurred to me that even though these people were beasts in the gym, they were not resilient in life. And that was the most unfortunate thing, because some of these people were some of the toughest people I knew, but they failed to extract those lessons that they got and apply it to their personal life. They failed to take their ability to tolerate pain in the gym and bring it back to your personal life. Now, you're one of the lucky ones. You're the ones that could do this. Not everybody is this fortunate. Not everybody is. So you should give yourself a pat on the back for doing this.
Well, but I just feel like doctors should have their patients as they age doing resistance training because of the ability that it gives you to manage allostatic load. I think that people who train and are accustomed to having to block out discomfort and even pain long enough to get this rep done or this set done. I'm a big fan of advanced training techniques like static holds.
Me too.
like just this morning, I trained legs, and I go pretty heavy with leg extensions after doing leg presses. And so my new thing is I train for time. I don't train for sets. So I do everything for 15 or 20 minutes, and usually I end up with 10 to 12 sets in the 15-minute realm, and in the 20-minute realm, I'll end up with 18 sets a lot of times. So it's a lot of work. My last sets are always static holds, and they're the most difficult.
Yes,
my whole body starts to tremble, and I'm locked out. The lactate is building up in my quads, and it's burning and burning. But when I feel that, I'm inspired to go deeper, because I feel like the equity is there now. Now, when the pain starts, that's when the work starts.
Yeah, that's when the gift is. You made a connection with your pain. You understand that your pain, the suffering that you feel, has positive benefits. It sounds like most people don't. They dislike the pain. They haven't reframed their pain and see it as making them better in life. In fact, that's one of the things that I recommend to people all the time, is to always think, what is the pain going to give you? What kind of rewards are with the pain? Most people don't see it. They see it as a form of punishment, which is actually the wrong reframing aspect in terms of training.
Yeah, let's take our last commercial break. We have a statement I'm going to put up from Joel Jha when we come back from this break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Superhuman Radio.
Is there something interfering with your happiness or ability to achieve your goals? BetterHelp can help. They will assess your needs and match you with a licensed therapist. This is not a self-help or crisis line. It's professional counseling done securely online. They have a broad range of experts and are available worldwide without having to wait in an uncomfortable waiting room. Get the help you need and start living a happier life today. Go to shrnetwork.biz/betterhelp. That's better, HELP, and receive 10% off your first month of counseling when you use the code SHR.
Remember those rectangular toaster pastries you used to love when you were a kid? Well, Legendary Foods has just made them better. The new cake-style tasty pastry is like nothing you've ever had before. With 20 grams of high-quality protein and less than 1 gram of sugar, you'll feel like you're cheating, but you're not. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use the code SHR10 to save 10% off your purchase of tasty pastries. Now available in cookies and cream, red velvet cake, birthday cake, blueberry, strawberry, brown sugar cinnamon, and hot fudge sundae. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary and use code SHR10 today.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Allostatic. If you spend any amount of time sitting while at work like I do, I have the chair for you. The Backstrong chair from All 33 is the most comfortable office chair I've ever sat in. That's the truth. Their patented technology allows your body to move the way it's supposed to move while you sit. Designed by a chiropractor to position your pelvis in a way that stacks all 33 of your vertebrae into perfect alignment. The benefits of this ideal posture include relief of back pain, deeper breathing, better digestion, improved circulation, greater focus, sharper memory, and more productivity. Start experiencing these benefits today. Go to shrnetwork.biz/move and use the code SHR100 for a $100 discount on your Backstrong chair. Hey, this is Carl Lenore. Superhuman Radio is the longest running health, fitness, and anti-aging podcast in the world, going into our 16th year of continuous production. If you have a product that you think would appeal to the Superhuman Nation, we can get you on the air quickly and inexpensively to help promote your brand. Join the ranks of some of the largest and most successful companies in the world who know how great it is to be affiliated with Superhuman Radio. Contact Dan Kapitsky today. That's DAN.KOPITZKE at superhumanradio.net to learn more. Attention meat lovers. I've discovered a snack with just 2 ingredients, meat and salt. That is so tender and delicious you almost can't believe it. That's right. No soy, sugar, or other crap. Our partner, Carnivore Snacks, nailed it with these mouth-watering snacks. They have a variety too. Ribeye, pork loin, leg of lamb, and more, all sourced here in the USA from regenerative
Primitive Farms. Claim your superhuman offer from Carnivore Snacks today at shrnetwork.biz/snacks. That's SNAX. Use the code superhuman for 15% off your first order plus a free 2-ounce pork leg.
Move over, superheroes. This is the Superhuman Channel.
Welcome back. We're talking with Jack E about his new book, Suffer Better. So we have a couple comments I'm going to pop up here real quick. The first one comes from Peter. I don't know why I have such a hard time pronouncing his name. I need to get him on the phone so I can hear him say it. Chronoticus.
Sounds good to me.
He says, people are lazy, willfully ignorant, and just follow the narrative that is spoon-fed to them. It's very true. That's what we have today. Joel Johnson. I agree with everything so far, but resiliency and toughness are harder to build if there is certain health problems. What do you think about that, Jack?
Yeah, we could always make adjustments.
Oh, sorry, Jack. I had your microphone off. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's always adjustments. I'm 58 years old. You have foot problems. You're still training. We all could work around our injuries and our health issues. But remember, the concept of my book is that you got to develop mental toughness, resilience in the gym and outside of the gym. So that means that you just have to deal with your adversities and your problems and obstacles more. So the physical limitations you have, it may affect what you do in the gym, but not in life. That's no excuse. You still have to learn how to confront our issues and stop avoiding and take them on head first.
And then Lenny Gilbert, I don't know why it's not showing up on my dashboard where I can put it up on the screen, said, this is all very true. If I waited until I felt even just plain good before I did anything, I would never do anything.
I as a trainer, one of the most annoying things that my clients will tell me is that, when I ask them, are you ready to train? They'll tell me, I'm not feeling it today. I tell them your emotions are irrelevant. I don't give a damn about how you're feeling. I usually don't want to train. Half the time I do. But, again, part of this training is that you have to realize that your mind is the biggest enemy that you have. Your mind will constantly lie to you. And if you don't feel like it, action is what will change your emotion. You still have to learn how to take action regardless. And that's one of the biggest concepts of the book. I don't care how much pain you're in. You still could take action. I don't care if you don't feel like doing it. You still could take action. We are not in control of our emotions, but we are always in control of the actions that we could take, regardless if you're not feeling motivated, regardless if you're in pain, regardless if you're just barely crawling out of bed. You still can take some action towards your training. Again, it doesn't matter if it's with your physical training or with the problems that you face in life.
Tell me, you said earlier in the show that you lived a life as a coward early on. Give me examples. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, for me, a coward is somebody that avoids things, only because my tolerance was so low. So that I was basically saying that, and that's one of the worst things about being a coward is that you stop growing, you stop taking action, and I stopped learning with myself. I pretty much avoided everything. I always tell people, it's not the pain that's really that bad. It's the fact that we avoid things. I was just so afraid of certain things. And to tell you the truth, what I was afraid of in hindsight, it really wasn't that bad. Especially because most of the pain that I was avoiding was emotional and mental. But you know what? I started to make my pain and these emotional pains as the worst thing in the world. But it's not. First, and also, I believe that these emotions could kill me, but they can't. But I started to, just avoid things completely. That's how afraid I was.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So tell me, do you try to instill these ideals into your clients when you're training them, or you don't even get into this type of stuff?
Oh no, I do. I definitely do. My whole focus, again, it's not about aesthetics. It's about the mental aspect. It's about finding courage. It's about finding mental toughness. I do a lot of, again, I train both my clients in the gym and outside of the gym. And one of the things I have to do with my clients, I do besides the physical training, of course, because I always give them difficult things to do. But I'm trying to get people to confront what they're afraid of, not to avoid things. And I came up with the so-called game where wherever you catch yourself resisting something, not wanting to do it, you have to do it. As long as it doesn't get you to jail, as long as you don't come off creepy, we have to train our minds instead of saying no, but to say go into doing things that make us feel very uncomfortable. And as soon as they do it, they constantly text me. The goal is to do 5 things every day to move toward resistance, to do things that you're not as scared of. And again, the whole program takes 66 days because I believe being a coward is just a terrible habit. And it's just, and in order to create a new habit, it takes 66 days to do. And that new habit that I'm trying to instill with all my clients is the habit of courage.
I love it. I love it. Craig Hollander, you know, one of the wonderful things about doing the show is you learn so much about the people in the audience. And so many of us think that the problems we have are unbearable. And then you hear the stories of other people. There's this girl I follow on Instagram. I don't know her real name. It's like her first name is a M-U-A or M-A-U-I. She has no legs from the knee down. She has a knee, but she has no lower legs on either side. I watched her squat 275, 300 pounds the other day. Oh. And I said to Elisa, how can I make excuses because my foot hurts? How can I do that when this girl is crushing it and she has no lower legs, missing both of them? And Craig Hollander writes, and he made me think of that. He writes, you know, I just survived my 3rd near-death experience 2 years ago after an infection entered the epidural space of my spine. It took 6 months to learn how to walk again. My doctor calls me Miracle Man because most people don't survive this, and those who do are paralyzed from the waist down for the rest of their lives. Awesome. And you know, I'm sure that his outcome would have been different if he's a different person. So we're probably, a lot of people think, well, you know, you were lucky you survived it. But I'm sure that his mental drive and his approach to life has a lot to do with the fact that he walks now. Yeah. You know, it sounds like whenever you have a crisis situation or a terrible adversity, I always tell people right now, you got to find the lessons that you got to break down and dissect every adversity that you're in. Find the blessing in disguise. Find that silver lining. Find that lesson that you have to learn. And the more that you do this, the more automatic it becomes. For people like Craig and people like that woman that I follow on Instagram. They had no legs. Yeah, they're able to reframe all the negatives and they're able to turn around and find positives and find strength from it. That's really the key to it all. A lot of people right now, the reason why they're suffering in life is because they can't make sense, Carl, of the pain that's going on in their life. They see their pain as just random acts of confusion, and they walk around powerless and out of control. We know we have no control, Carl, of the pain and the bad things that happen in our life, but we are 100% in control of how we interpret that pain. One of the biggest myths about becoming a resilient person is that we don't feel pain. That's a bunch of baloney. I feel pain just as much as that next person. But the difference between us, Carl, and the rest of the world is that we process the pain differently. Yes, we still process the pain, but we also process the potential advantages, the potential strength. But here's what we really do. We have the ability to see connections that we never was able to before, even with events that we didn't realize there was connections. Let me digress for a second and so I can explain to you what I really want to say. One of the most popular forms right now of psychotherapy is the use of MDMA. Right. And the psychologists right now are saying MDMA is effective because it allows our brains and our minds to see connections that we never were able to before. So by doing so, you get insights on how to make your life better. But luckily for us, when we're mentally tough and we're trying to increase our ability to be stronger in life, we don't need a psychoactive drug for that. All we have to do, Carl, is that we basically have to think about all those terrible things that happen to us, write them all down, find that lesson in each one,
and see how each event is basically a stepping stone. It's a rite of passage leading up to the next event, and draw a linear line and connect the dots. For example, when I was a resilient person, when I was a coward, I used to could not make sense of anything that was happening in my life. Zero. I felt like that victim. But once I was able to find meaning into my pain, I did that by seeing how all my pain was all connected. So right now, like these people, for me, I'm not a victim anymore. For the first time in my life, I have complete clarity of who I am. My life makes completely sense to me, just like those other people that we're talking about. And by doing so, I'm very grateful for all those terrible things that happened to me, because they made me better and stronger. And that is the key right there, Carl, is that you got to have the ability to always convert negatives into positives. If you could do that, that's how you could find enrichment in your life.
Joel Jaw's comment reminds me a lot of Ronnie Coleman.
What do you say?
Joel says, hold on, let me stop this. Hold on a second. Joel says, everyone wants success, but we have to learn to accept some failure as well in our lives. And Ronnie Coleman used to say, everybody wants to be a bodybuilder, but nobody wants to lift any heavy ass weight.
Yeah.
And why?
Similar.
Because lifting heavy ass weight is scary, and it's painful, and so it's really fascinating. And the Craig Hollander says the pain I experienced was beyond most people's tolerance levels, and you're right.
Applaud him. Yeah, applaud him. That's awesome. And I want to go back to that last comment about failure, and that's the one thing about when you're resilient and you're not resilient. When you're not resilient, you take your failures and your mistakes personally. But when you learn to become a mentally tough person and tolerant point, you start to see your failures as part of the process. It's just data, it's just information.
Right.
How else are you supposed to get better? So for me, once I started to learn how to deal with my failures and not to worry about it so much, it's completely life-changing. Completely life-changing. And people that are afraid of failure, guarantees they will experience failure. But if you're not afraid of failure and you understand that it's part of the process, you can make best out of it.
Yeah, good stuff. The book is called Suffer Better, and you can get it by going to shrnetwork.biz/suffer-better. It's a Kindle book. I think it's only like $8, right, Jack?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very inexpensive. Joel Joss says they will take no risk if they are afraid. That's true.
Absolutely
People aren't
correct.
willing to take risks when they're afraid. And if you can't take risks, you never progress.
Yes, and that's what the biggest problem of being a coward and to have a low threshold for pain is that you start avoiding things in life.
I once said I was nothing until I was strong. And I had people say to me, that's ridiculous. Like that's such an absurd thing to say. But what they don't understand is the journey to being strong indoctrinated me into understanding how far I could go if I want to. And when I said I was nothing until I was strong, I wasn't like, lifting heavy weights made me popular. No, lifting heavy weight and accomplishing it and PRs that I never thought I would ever see, that makes you believe in yourself. That makes you believe that you can, this isn't going to kill me. This isn't going to hurt me. I mean, and I got injured. Don't get me wrong. I have hurt myself, but I wouldn't get, people say to me, well, all the injuries you have, maybe you shouldn't have lifted weights. No, I'd rather have these injuries and what I've obtained from lifting heavy weight and accomplishing those things than have to live without injuries. And I really mean that. I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change a thing.
That's fabulous. And I feel exactly the same as you. The only thing I would say is I was nothing until I became mentally strong for me. Yeah, that's the only difference. Before that, I felt pretty worthless, even though I was strong and I had good abilities in my CrossFit. But once I learned how to overcome adversities and to strengthen my mind, that's how my life completely started to change.
Okay, one more time. The book is Suffer Better: How to Raise Your Pain Tolerance and Develop Your Resilience for Training and Life. shrnetwork.biz/suffer-better. And it's the Kindle book is like $7 and change. Go get it. Show Jackie some love. He's one of us. He started out in this audience, and here he is as a guest. So there you go.
I practice the superhuman nation world, people.
Yeah. Jack, thanks for being here, brother.
Thank you very much, Carl.
Okay, and we got a really great show tomorrow. There is a study out there that shows that learning how to build the muscles that control your lungs and breathing can lower your blood pressure better than drugs. So if you're somebody who's struggling with high blood pressure, literally like 3 minutes a day could change your life. So don't miss that show tomorrow. We'll see you then. Thanks for being here today.